Thank you. Okay, Mishnah Lamina Bebeis. Azia, so the Mishnah says, so something today I saw in Shulchan Aruch. So we left off yesterday with the Gemara. You're supposed to do Lefnim Meshuras Adin, right? So you should return something, a lost object, whatever it is. It's even if you're not mechuyev to, you should do Lefnim Meshuras Adin. So Shulchan Aruch, or I don't remember now, it's Shulchan Aruch or the Ramah, says that if a wealthy guy loses an object, and there was yish, let's say he lost it in the streets, and the assumption is that there was yish, and you're a poor guy, there's no lifnim mishuras hadin to give it back to the wealthy guy. As I state in Raman, nobody's chaylik on this, right? You could go figure that one. It's interesting, right? Meaning the rich guy lost it, and
an ani is the guy who doesn't have enough in his bank account for a whole year.
Yeah, basically, or
going according to that definition.
Yeah, but I don't think it has to be necessarily an ani versus an usher. Meaning, I understood it as if the guy who lost it, right? If the guy who lost it is not as well off, I'm sorry, the guy who found it is not as well off as the guy that lost it. So then he doesn't have to do the Mishur Sadin. Right?
That's only because there was yish. Without the yish factor, then he's mechuyev to return
it. Without yish.
Yeah, because otherwise he still owns it.
Yeah,
it's the thing that had a pack of a briefcase with $1,000. That's a lot to me. But and these chayshes might belong to a wealthy guy. He's the only one wealthy guy who has such an amount of money in town. Well, she's miyayish on it because because it's a Schwarzer neighborhood, like far Rockaway or something.
Briefcase might be a simon.
Okay, a paper bag, whatever it is. The guy was miyayish on it, and the simanim are not good enough simanim to claim it, right? So lifnim mishuras adin, you go around, you'd say, hey, let me go to all the rich guys in town and ask them what they lost some money, Right. But you're saying here, he doesn't have to go lifnim mishuras adin.
So Yaakov, I just opened my phone. They started a new thing, Aveda.com.
Yes.
If you find
the rabbi's involved with it.
Oh yeah, okay, very good. Okay. Very good.
But that's what they send out a thing on Shabbos.
I think Motzi Shabbos.
It's not a Shabbos thing. It's an Aveda thing.
It's an Aveda. yeah. The guys. Yeah, whatever. It's yeah. Yeah, it sounds like an interesting thing. He timed it to send it out when the daf started Metzia.
Yeah.
The local Dr. Fox, Dr. Fox, the local.
Okay, you should be matzliach. I mean, it should be that nobody loses anything.
Right, that's true. That's true. But I wonder if it changes the dinam of Yish now. But
that's what I'm saying. If now you have more of a chiyuv now because now it's easier, just post it on there. How could you not pick up something?
Meaning, maybe Yish doesn't happen until you check. If he's successful, which Be'ez Hashem, hopefully he'll be. So Yish doesn't happen until you have time to go to your phone or to internet and check Aveda.com. And if you don't see anybody wrote on there that your thing was
lost. Do you need a smartphone to use this?
I don't know. I'm saying it's a website.
Is this a modern
I heard it was an app also. There is an app also. That's what I heard.
Is this the modern day Choni Amagil rock?
Maybe. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yes. Right. Yeah, 100%. So you go there and check and
that's the name of it. Actually, Avi, is called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. You were Mechavan. That's the name of it.
Yeah. So okay. So let's see. So Zok the Mishnah. So Ezui Aveda. What is considered an Aveda? Matzah chamar oipara royin bederach. Meaning, what does it mean? Ezui Aveda. Aveda is an Aveda. You look down and you see something lost. No. So the question, what the Mishnah is asking is, How do you know whether this thing is taka lost or maybe the guy left it there on purpose, right? Meaning you can't go into a guy's driveway and there's a hockey stick sitting. This is a very big camp, Shiloh. There's a hockey stick sitting in a guy's driveway. Say, oh, he lost his hockey. No, he didn't. He just went inside to get a drink and he's playing hockey. Right? That's not an Aveda, but how do you know? Maybe taka it is lost. Maybe you can't find it. Right? Or that type of thing. So how can you judge it? So
You can't find the Maybach in Wolfson's driveway and say, I found the Maybach.
Right, yeah, you lose your car, right? Yeah. You see like a car by valet parking at a chassan when nobody's sitting in it and it's waiting. You say, hey, it's a car. Let me take it. Oh, yish. I don't know if there'll be yish on that too fat. Maybe. Yeah, so that's basically what the Gemara is asking. So the Gemara says, Matzah chamor apara royim b'derech. So let's say you're driving and you see a chamor or a para grazing. Ain't zu aveda. That's not aveda, right? Because he's letting them eat. Chamor b'kelev hafuchen. But let's say you find a donkey and it's kelev or hafuchen, meaning I'm assuming it doesn't mean the donkey is the donkey is standing there, but it's kelev. Whatever it was carrying clearly spilled off the donkey. So then that would be an aveda. Para ratza bein akram. If you see a cow running in vineyards, arezo aveda, that's an aveda, right? Because it's clear. Why would anybody want this thing running around vineyards and messing up the vineyards, right? Herzira ubarcha, herzira ubarcha. Let's say you brought it back and it ran away, and then you brought it back and it ran away. Even 4 or 5 times, chayiv la'achzira, you're chayiv to keep bringing it back. Shenemer hashev tishiveim. It says it plural. Yeah, we'll see in the Gemara exactly. So why does it stop at 4 or 5? Yeah, hayabatel misela. So then this last part is also an important. I don't know if it's important, but it comes up. Let's say because this guy was busy with returning the lost object, so he lost out a seller. He was bottled from his work from a seller, right? Meaning he's on his way into work, and he sees a lost object, and he knows who it belongs to. So he stops, he picks it up, which he has to do. Otherwise, it's a loisaseh and an aseh. The mailer comes an hour late to work. His boss docks his pay for an hour, so he loses a seller's worth. So now who's responsible for that? So lo yomer lo ten li seller. You can't go to the guy who owned the lost object and say, give me a seller.
I mean, don't we go out and we spend money on mitzvah? So it cost you $50. So, but you got a mitzvah.
Correct. But the
lulav and esrog would cost me more than $50.
Yeah, but you're chayiv in the lulav and esrog.
And I'm chayiv to do this mitzvah. Maybe. Right.
No, maybe. You are chayiv to do the mitzvah, but the maisa, somebody is gaining on your back.
That's the mitzvah. That's the mitzvah.
Don't start the lulav and esrog prices. No, let's not go down that road.
You use a different mitzvah. I'm just saying, I got to go out and buy tefillin. I got to go out and buy matzah.
You don't have to buy tefillin. You don't have to buy tefillin.
No. Maybe we're able to borrow.
Matzah. He's right. Matzah. The certain chiyuvim, you have to do matzah, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing. No, meaning here somebody gained on your back. Meaning the same way we had it. This way I understand it, but I don't know if I'm right. The same way we said that you're allowed to take somebody else's money to save yourself, but then you have to pay him, right? Meaning if you need an escape car, going back with this, using the same muscle, you jump into a guy's driveway, a guy's chasing you, you jump into the driveway, you take the guy's car, you borrow it, and fine. You're mechuyev to pay for the gas, and then you can't tell the guy, oh, you did a mitzvah. You did a mitzvah for me, I'm not paying you. No, you're mechuyev to pay, right? So that's the same thing here. You helped somebody with his lost object. Part of his gain is he has to compensate you. Or the question is, how much does he have to compensate you? We'll see. But that's what the Gemara is discussing, right? So you bought him like 10 lisela. He gives him schar like a regular worker, meaning even if he's got a high paying job that could pay him. That's what it means right now in the Mishnah. We'll see in the Gemara that he has a high paying job that pays him $1,000 an hour. No, you give him a regular. I don't know if it means minimum wage. You get minimum wage for what you did. Now let's say the guy says, I'm not going to pick up this Metzia like we had in the further up stuff. The guy says, I'm not picking up if I have to lose all my money. I'm just not, it's not, he doesn't, which we said before, he doesn't have to. So if there's a bezdin, he can quickly go in front of bezdin and say, listen, I'll pick up the object, I'll get it back to the guy, but I'm making a t'nai in front of bezdin that I need to get paid. So if he does that, then he could get paid his full amount of what he's losing. But a main shom bezdin, who can he make a t'nai in front of if there's no bezdin, which is usually the case. So we say shaloi kaidem, he goes first, which means he does not have to go and get the lost object because his concerns, his money comes first. Which, like we said, maybe that's the tzad why we don't. Maybe that's the tzad heter why we don't pick up. When we see pens on the street and gloves and hats and whatever it is. Maybe we're saying, listen, it's not worth my time. It's not worth my time. I don't know. That's the only tzad that I can come up with. That would be a heter.
It's beneath his covered. Where does a person? How does it?
That's different. Kavod is different than time.
No, but if it's not worth it for a person, then it's beneath his covered. Wouldn't you say the same thing? Wouldn't
You don't
say
pay
that?
for covered. Covered comes from you with what you earned. You can't put a dollar amount on covered.
No, I understand, but you know what? Like a person that doesn't have anything, a pen is valuable to him. A person that has certain things, a pen is not valuable to him. So it's beneath his cover to stop and pick up a pen when he can get it easily anytime, anywhere.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. All right, shkoyim. Okay, sorry about that. So Zog the Gemara, yeah. So Atu Kol Hani Damrinos Lava Vedu, everything we've been discussing till now is not an Aveda. But what are we saying? Only a chamar that's turned over, or a para running in between vineyards. So Atu Kol Hani Damrinos Lava Vedu Have Amar Yehuda Hafi Kamar. This is what we're saying. Ezehi Klal Aveda. What is a klal of an Aveda Shu Chayeva? I'm not sure what the give and the take here of this Kash and Teretz is. Right? What is the chiyuv? Meaning, what is the amount that you're mechuyev to go to return? Okay, I'm saying, isn't that was what we thought the shaila was? Okay, so anyways, but matzah chamaru para royim b'derach ain't zu aveda. That's not considered aveda. V'loy mechayeva, and you're not chayev to go do hashavas aveda. Chamar b'kelev hafuchin, chamar with the kelev hafuchin, para of a rotza ben akromim, and a para that's rotza ben akromim, merezu aveda u'mechayev, that's an aveda, and you're mechayev to return it. Okay, that's the way we understood the Mishnah. Yeah. So then the Gemara says, meaning, is this forever? If every day you see that these animals are hanging out on the side of the road, so that means that forever it's somebody put it there on purpose. You never see any owner. Every day you look out your window and you see, or you're driving to work and you see that this thing is hanging out on the side of the road. So no, 3 days, until 3 days. Right? Till 3 days. Then after 3 days, we can assume that maybe they're lost. So when I ask Hechi Dami, what's the case? If we're talking about at night, it's not a normal thing for an animal to graze at night. So even at night, it's going to be considered a lost object, and it's not an object, a lost animal. But if it's during the day, then even a lot, right? When we see this all the time in the farmlands, you have animals roaming around. They're lost because you see it 3 days in a row. So what answers it's talking about we saw it early in the morning, and when it's later and when it's getting dark. Meaning, so it's like it's somewhere during twilight, and I don't know what you call it in the morning. What's it called in the morning?
Dusk.
That dusk.
Dawn.
Dawn is when
It's not either way. It's not during the regular feeding time for the
Correct.
animals.
Right. That's yeah. So okay, wait. It's either early and late. So tlasa, I mean, in this Ramil 3 days in a row. You see it by shkia time and by dawn time. Then it's then it goes out. Then you say, okay, it's a fluke thing. If it's more than that, then for sure they're lost. If somebody finds a talus, and a kardam is a, what do you call it, an axe, on top of Aleph now, Bisratya in a big city, upara rotza ben akramim, and a para is running between kramim, harezu aveda, that's considered an aveda. Talus bitzad gather, if you find the talus next to a fence, which we had a few blot ago, the things next to a fence might be a simon. Talus bitzad gather, kardam bitzad gather, or an axe next to a gather, or para roya ben akramim, or a para that's grazing in vineyards, ain't zu aveda, that's not an aveda. Gimel yom zeh. If it's 3 days one after the other, rezu aveda, that is an aveda. Ra mayim sheshaytunu b'ayim. Let's say you see water coming, meaning a guy's field is about to get totally flooded. Hareza goyde b'fneim, then you're mechuyev to build a fence there in order to save his things. Now that's a different category of aveda. Till now, we're talking about objects or movable properties. Here, now you see that a guy's field is about to get flooded. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take you to build a fence, right? So,
but to put your finger in the dike, the famous story about the Dutch kid who put his finger in the dike to hold back the water for a long time until they were able to fix it. But that may be all that's required. But you'd be required to stick your finger in that hole and hold it there until it's safe.
Well, the Onovi comes.
Or even better yet.
Well, yeah, but here it doesn't say that though. I hear you're definitely right. You got to stick your finger in the dike, but here it says you build a fence. I mean, how fast are you going to?
Well, it could be that the person your neighbor doesn't live there. It's his summer home or his winter home, whatever it is. And there's news reports in 2 days there's going to be a flooding, whatever.
Oh, are you mechuyev to do that?
I don't know. That's the case question. I'm thinking of.
I hear it. So you see here it says you see it coming.
Well, no, having you, what's your black fog, whatever your watch says, right?
Yeah.
So it says it's coming in 2 days, no?
Yeah, so the question is, do you trust that? Or do you have to wait till it's, what are you mechuyev to do? Yeah. So now, Amar Rava, l'chol avedas achicha, any aveda of your brother, l'rabes avedas karka, so it comes to include avedas karka. I mean, if he's losing karka, then it's a problem. Meaning,
this is a strange thing, If normally we have an aveda, it was already nevad, it was already lost. Here you're saying an aveda is lasid lavoy in 2 days, a day, whatever. You're not. It's not an aveda until it really is an aveda. Here we're saying it's an aveda before it's an aveda.
Yes, you're right.
You call up your neighbor, tell him your friend, call him up your insurance. of your insurance. So that would be the right thing to do. Again, I gotta go ahead and put up a fence. It's gonna cost me $25,000 to put up a fence for him
Oh.
in record time. I better tell him to get insurance. I don't know. It's not a Aveda yet until it's Nevad.
Is that color Roy Labila?
Yeah. No, but that's a question. No, that's a question. If you call the guy, let's say the guy lives let's say you talk upstate and you see that the guy's bungo colony, or that you heard that it's going to start flooding, blah, blah, blah. You call the guy and say, hey, buddy, it's happening in 6 hours. You're a 3-hour drive away. I'm calling you and I'm telling you to get up here. And the guy says, I'm not coming. Yeah, so you're mechuyev to go build the fence him anyways?
That might be an Aveda Midas.
Correct. So that is that considered Aveda Midah? Maybe the guy's not there, so he doesn't realize the severity of the situation.
Again, it's a suffix. Even if you say Aveda Midas, it's a suffix. It's not an Aveda yet.
Yeah. No, but that's what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is clearly saying that that's called an Aveda. The rabbis of Aveda's Karka. That's exactly what the Gemara is saying. Exactly what you're saying, Rachman. The chiddush is that it's not lost yet. You're mechuyev to prevent him from having that loss. Right?
So I see a guy walking down the street and his wallet's about to fall out of his pocket. So I'm mechuyev to catch it before it becomes an Aveda.
Oh, you're mechuyev to tell him to watch his pocket or something like that. Yes. Or if you see there's a lot of pickpockets or something like that. So you're mechuyev to call the guy and tell him, watch out, but go into that neighborhood. There's a lot of pickpockets.
Am I getting the mitzvah of a Hashavas Aveda before it's never?
That's from the Gemara. It's mashma, yeah. I think your div is 100% right. It's mashma, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Take it. Why not?
Or at least Mekayim the love of Leusel Salad. Might not be Hashif to Shiva.
Right. Yeah. Fine. Okay, let's see weiter. We have a proof to you. I raise a guide b'fneim. See water coming, then you can build a fence in front of it. That's not a proof. We're talking about where there were bundles of stalks in the field that were still attached, meaning it sounds like he's saying the field, but there it's not talking about the actual field that they're worried about. This is talking about the bundles there, because it's the Gemara says so if there was bundles that were going to get washed away, bundles of grain that were going to get washed away. So what's the chiddush? Of course you have to stop it. That's regular shashavas aveda of items. No, it's talking about where there were umrin that need ara, that need ground. Now the same since they need the ground, since they're still attached, meaning it sounds like, I think what it means is that they bundled the grains, but they still kept them attached to the ground. Meaning that's what it sounds like. Otherwise, what does it mean? It still needs the ground. It needs to be touching there. I don't know. I don't know enough about this type of stuff. But whatever it is, it still needs the ground. So therefore, it has the din of the ground. Kamash Malan, that it's like regular Hashavas Aveda, and it's not Hashavas Aveda of Karka. So we have no proof that there is Hashavas Aveda of Karka. But then the Gemara says, in the Mishnah, it says you find a chamor and a para that one is a chamor is grazing, then that's not considered an Aveda. But if it's stuff that it was loaded up with, turned over, or the cow was running through the krumim, then it is. So the Gemara says, Hagufa kasha. It's itself a stira. Amrit matzah chamor para royim b'derech. If you find a chamor and a para royim b'derech, ain't so aveda. It's not aveda. Royim b'derech who do I have aveda? It's mashma only if they were grazing on the land. There's no aveda. Har ratzah b'derech v'royim bein akramim. But if it's running on the way, meaning in the streets, it's running through the streets, or it's grazing in the vineyards, havi aveda, then it sounds like it is an aveda, right? Meaning we don't know exactly which is considered a normal thing and which is considered an abnormal thing. So it's mashma from the Reisha that if it's running in the way or it's grazing in a vineyard, then it's aveda because that's abnormal. Fine. So ema seifa chamor bekelev afuchim. Mashma the seifa says if chamor and its kelim is turned over, uparav rotzav ben akromim, and a cow is running through the vineyard. Arezu aveda. So mashma rotzav ben akromim hu dahavi aveda. If it's running through a vineyard, that's an aveda. Har rotzav b'derech. But if it's running in the way, v'roya ben akromim, and it's just grazing in the vineyard, ain't to aveda. So it's not an aveda. So we have a stira from the Reisha. The diak of the Reisha is a stira to the diak of the seifa. So Rabaya Yagid Alav Reu, right? It's it literally means the thunder is going to say about it, which is it's a pasuk in Iyov, and it's basically saying that you have to use your judgment of what's going on. Tana Roya B'derech D'Lo Havi Aveda. If it's grazing in the way, so it's in the streets, it's not an aveda. And it goes without saying that if it's grazing in vineyards, if it's running in a vineyard, it's an aveda. And for sure, if it's running in the way, meaning you have to use your seichel and understand. Well, if it's doing something in one area that it's not supposed to be doing it, then kol shekain, if it's in another area that it's not supposed to be doing it, then for sure it's an aveda. That's a bias terrace. Listni kilsa v'kol chamirta. Why don't you say the more makel case, and then for sure, then definitely the more chamer case. Listni rotza b'derech tahavi aveda. Why don't you say that it's running in the derech, which is an aveda, v'kol shekin rotza ben akromim, and then for sure ben akromim. The listni roya ben akromim, the leihavi aveda. Let's say running through the vineyard that it's not an aveda, but kol shekin roya b'derech, and kol shekin somebody who's roya b'derech. Meaning, why not go with the one that's a kol shekain, right? If running in the way is an aveda, so certainly running in the krumim, right? And grazing in the krumim is not an aveda, and kol shekain grazing in the derech. So he said. So Rava does not like the way the Mishnah would be set up. So Elam Rava has his own shot. Rotza lekash. The stira from when the animal is running in the vineyard. Running in the road is hoda apa lagabi dabra and hoda apa lagabi masa. One is when the animal is running away, meaning away from the city into the fields. So clearly, or I don't know if it's clearly, but it's assumed that the animal, since it's running away, is going to get lost. So return it. But it's running towards the city. So what's the problem? It's running towards the city where it's supposed to be.
What are you supposed to ask the animal where he's coming from, where he's going? Like a cop pulls over a car. He says, "Where are you coming from? Where are you going?" So you ask the cow.
Well, no, you see in the direction, right? Right, you see which direction it's going. Yeah.
I was going to ask really the same question as Rahman. Are we giving the cow too much credit here? Like, because it's running away from the midbar, therefore we know it's running home. What?
You don't know
returning its. What?
You see it running away from the city. It's not running home.
No, if it's running away from the city, it's an aveda. If it's running towards the city, it's not an aveda. I mean, if it's running towards the city, we're saying the psychology of a cow now.
We're saying
home.
the Gemara is written for farming culture, not for people when they see cows just think about yapchik. You know what I mean? It's a whole farming culture.
Right. And therefore,
so they know what they know what the cows do. Yeah. I don't know. I never saw a cow. I don't know what a cow does, but the Amoraim tonight, what cows did. What's so hard to understand?
What's hard to understand is I don't know where it's coming from. Where is the cow? In the desert, going towards the city? Or in the city, running away from the desert? How do I know where it's coming from? Maybe it came from a farm that was right next to the desert, and it's running through town the other direction.
No, because the assumption is that the city is where the cows are, and they go out to graze during the day. That's what's mashma usually.
A cow in the middle of the city.
Sure, they
And
have
whichever
condominiums.
direction-
They have condominiums.
Right, but whichever direction it's running in, it's running to the city.
If it's in the city, I would say it's for sure not an aveda.
So when is it an Aveda? In the desert running to the city?
Yeah, no, that's not because it's headed back home.
I mean, sorry. Yeah, when is it not an Aveda? If it's
Yeah.
in the desert. But if it's in the city already and it's running,
I would think it's not.
Gershon,
okay.
Gershon. I
Yeah.
grew up in this city in East New York in Brooklyn. 60 years ago, 7 blocks from my house was a farm full of Kol of Yisrael cows. Kahal Brothers was 6 blocks from my house. They couldn't run because they were tied up, but was 6 blocks from my house in East New York. Kahal Brothers, Kol of Yisrael milk.
Yeah, but that's still my point. If you would have seen one of those cows running anywhere, you'd know it was lost. Whichever direction it's running in. That's what I'm saying. We're giving it rules if it's running this way versus that way seems to be giving too much. Why don't we say over here also, Yagadol Reya? Use your common sense. You know when it's lost or not.
Gemara has to make certain assumptions. When you
So
find
what
an
do you think
Aveda,
it means?
when you find an Aveda, you have to make certain assumptions. The Rabbanim make certain assumptions. Here, the Rabbanim make certain assumptions that you see a cow running in that direction, so it's an Aveda.
That means we're going against the Agadol Reya. You can use your common sense.
No,
The Rabbanim are going to tell you which one's which.
you can. It's trying to give some basic guidelines. That's what I think.
Guidelines. You have to. The Rabbanim have to come up with a psakis. So they will give you guidelines. If it's going in this direction, must be that it's like this.
Maybe that's
So these rules are not concrete. They're guidelines. That's great. Fantastic.
I would think so. I
I don't understand. You know, a young cow, it weighs between 1,000, 2,000 pounds. You're gonna just tell them, hey, Key, come with me. You know, come with me. Let me take you home. You know, it's like a runaway car. You know, it weighs 2,000 pounds, and you're gonna tell him, oh, you know, I want to bring you back for the owner. You know, he says, you know, have a nice day. I want to graze over here on the road on East New York. I'm not the. How are you going to bring this cow? How are you going to pick up the cow and bring him home? Yeah, that's right. This makes a lot of sense. That doesn't make any sense. You know, I understand, you know, with a dog maybe, but a cow, you know, it's a big animal. You know, it's like, you call him on the telephone, tell him you lost a cow. You know.
Yeah. Okay, let's see about this. So roya nami lekash. When it's grazing, is also not a steer. Kama vedas gufa, kama vedas karka. One is talking about where we're worried about losing the cow, and one we're talking about losing the land. What does that mean? Because we have to be afraid that this cow running through a vineyard is going to destroy the vineyard. When we say that grazing in the streets is not an aveda, it's mashma. That if it's grazing in the vineyard, it's an aveda b'avedas karka. That's on avedas karka, meaning you have this animal roaming around the guy's vineyard, he's going to destroy it. And when we say that running between kramim is an aveda, but if it's raya ben akramim, it's not an aveda. Avedas gufa, it's talking about avedas gufa the ratza ben akramim, because if an animal runs in a vineyard, maskava, it's going to get himself cut or whatever. He's gonna hurt himself. But raya ben akramim loy maskava, a vineyard is a pretty safe place, so it's not going to end up getting injured. Okay, so when it's running around the vineyard, the animal won't get damaged. Typically, mishum avedas karka, but he's going to ruin the karka. So what about that? So we say, but the kusi, talking about where the vineyard was owned by a guy, so we don't care if it gets destroyed, right? You're not supposed to return an aveda to a guy, right? You could do it if you can make a kiddush Hashem. But we're not worried about a guy's things. Okay, so what it says for Tevik Mishum Avedas Gufa. The Dilma Katula. What about maybe the guy is going to come out with his shotgun and kill this animal that's running around his vineyard and busting it? Right? So why wouldn't you have to save it, even if it's just Roya Ben Akramim? We're talking about a town where they had, what's the word? They had rules and regulations. You're not allowed to go kill a cow roaming around in your vineyard until you give hasra, and then you could kill it. So there was no hasra, so you don't have to worry about the animal being killed. Well, how do you know? Maybe the guy already warned the cow or the owner to get out of there. Tomorrow says, if the owner was warned to make sure his cow does not go into this guy's vineyard, and he wasn't careful, then it's an aveda. That's for sure considered an aveda midas. Fine, all right. So that's sugya. Again, basically, you have to know. Basically, we come out that you have to know the situation. You really have to know the situation to see whether it's considered an aveda, legitimate aveda or not. Fine. Now we will digress out of Hashavas Aveda for the rest of the daf. So ziru barcha. Right, it comes back. You have to keep giving it. Ema hashev chada zimna, meaning hashev says return it once. Teshivim is trey zimni, return it twice. Right, so then all you do is turn it back twice. If it runs away again, you're putter. Right, hashev teshivim is two, is a lashon of two. Amalei hashev afilu kuf ha'abed mashma. No, hashev sounds it's mashma even 100 times. Teshivim, and what are we learning out from the word teshivim? That's only to his house. And how do you know that you can return it to the guy's garden or to a churva, a building that's destroyed? Meaning you have to give the animal back. So you don't have to necessarily go bring it all the way to the guy's house. Let's say he's on a big farm, and on the edge of the farm is a garden. So you could just dump the animal in there, and then you could go. How do you know that works? And you give it back anywhere into his property. So basically, the Gemara's Havamina was that you'd only have to return it twice. But we're saying Hashev means even 100 times. So you want to ask, Heichidami, idim intera pshita. If he's watching it, meaning not watching, meaning if the churva is considered watched, so then pshita, it's pashut that you could put the animal back there. And either loimintera, and if it's not watched, meaning it's the animal is going to be able to just roam free again, so then amai, why is that considered returned? So the Gemara answers loilam demintera. It's really talking about where it was watchable. You don't need das bailim, meaning when you're doing when you borrow something or something like that, you have to have das of the bal. He has to know you gave it back. By Hashavas Aveda, he does not have to know that you gave it back. Everything needs das of the bailim, chutz me Hashavas Aveda, except Hashavas Aveda. That the Torah included many hashavas. Fine. And we're at shalech to shalach. Now the one is going to go through all sorts of double lashonos that's in the Torah. So shalech to shalach. This is talking about shiluach hakein. If Peretz is beyond, we'd have the song of the daf. Right, that's a niggin. He needs a refuah shalem agrada, the mechaber of this niggin. Shalech to shalach hasaim, whatever the niggin is.
I can represent London.
London, that's true. So Yigal Salik is not well, right?
Who?
Yigal Salik is the name that made up the niggin. Shalech to shalach is whatever. It's a niggin.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Hey, well, it's not pop culture. It's Jewish pop culture, but
you should have a full shalema anyway.
Yeah, okay. So shalech to shalach says you should send out the double lashon. Ema shalech chada zimna to shalach is trei zimni. Meaning, you're supposed to send away the mother before you take the eggs or the babies, right? So let's say you send the mother away, and this mother is stubborn; it flies right back. So you got to send it away again. So maybe only twice, and then once the mother comes back, now you can take the eggs. Even 100 times. To shalach, that's only if you're taking the babies or the eggs for dvar rishus, dvar mitzvah minayim. How do you know that if you're taking it for a mitzvah, let's say for a Metzia, you need the little birds for the Metzia or something like that, so then maybe you don't have to wait around for the mother to leave. It's from anyway. Now, again, when it keeps saying, not again, but when it's saying that you're allowed to send the bird away many times, this has nothing to do with those guys that you can, they have ads in the paper that say, come, we'll do Shiluach HaKain for you and all that, because they're repeating the same, they know where these birds are, they send them away, they pick up the eggs, you put them back, the birds come back, and then we go again. They keep doing, they keep charging for each and every Shalach to Shalach. Right.
Like it's like those Chinese raffles, Chinese auctions where they raffle off a unique mitzvah. Like it's one of those things you could buy from a Chinese auction. Is you could try and win a unique mitzvah. It's a Shiluach HaKan or something like that.
Right. That's basically yeah.
Isn't that problematic because it says ki yikara kansibo b'derech, and that's not yikara. It's kara. I forgot the diach in Gemara, but it's not ki yikara. When you plan it, it's not ki yikara. Yikara is it just happens to be.
It happens. Yes, and we always can discuss that how you have ki yikara when it happens.
Hutzman Zaman or something like that. Hutzman, yeah. All right, different subject. Sorry.
Correct, but that's not when it says here sending him away multiple times. It's not talking about these guys. It's talking about if the bird keeps coming back lichatchila, you can't even pick up the eggs. Fine. Next case. When it says that you're supposed to give mussar to somebody who does something wrong, so it says at one time and you only have to give mussar to the guy 2 times. Even 100 times. That only is telling me a Rav to a Talmud. Talmud the Rav Minayin. How do you know that a Talmud is supposed to give mussar to a Rav? Fine. It says you have to help him. That's only telling me if the Bailam are with him. What happens if his Bailam are not with him? Minayin. How do you know? That you have to help him. Hakim talking imay, right? And you have to help him load it up, right? Again, the first one, Aziv Taziv, is you have to help him unload it. Hakim talking is you have to help him load it. So ainly that's only when the owner is there. Shein Ba'alavima 9. Even if the owner is not there, like Lamashal, he's not right to do it, he's not well or something like that. How do you know that you're supposed to help him load it up? Hakim talking. Right, so these are all examples of things that you have to do that are double the shyness and how we dash. Now the Gemara digresses from a digression. It says, why do we need 2 mitzvahs that you have to help a guy unload his animal and to help a guy load his animal? So we say we need it because we're on a prika. If we say to unload it, because when the animal is loaded up, so this tzar b'alechaim, because the animal is obviously suffering, kiss, and then the owner is also going to take a loss because his animal might get damaged. But to load up an animal to love tzar b'alechaim, because there's no tzar b'alechaim. If you don't help him load up the animal, there's no tzar b'alechaim. But like chisaron kiss, and there's no chisaron kiss ika. Because eventually he'll get it loaded up. So maybe you won't have to help him. So Kamashulon, the Torah is telling you, no, you have to help the guy load it up too.
This is only by an animal?
What do you mean? If a guy's
he has a truck, he has a trucking business, so he can hire people to load the truck for him. He doesn't have to load the truck. So you have to load the truck for the guy free? Because he doesn't want to hire 2 people to load the truck.
Oh, very good. So we're going to see in the next Mishnah that the guy can't just sit on his lounge chair and say, hey, there's a mitzvah deraisa for you to help me. Right? That it doesn't work. It has to be that the guy's an oinus. It has to be an oinus. Now the shaila becomes if you see a car broken down on the side of the road, you have to stop. Pashtus is as far as I remember, the place can say you mechuyev to stop. It's not dafka just a para, right? It could be any type of.
Well, when you have to pick up the luggage in the airport, you have to help a guy unload it. No.
That's a good point. The chayra, yeah. That's I would think that you have
You
to.
probably help your wife before you help the other guy.
That's true. That is true. That's Rabbi Gamliel Rabinovich's mashal. Only Yerushalmi could say this mashal in the Shalom Bayis shir. He says he sees a guy sees from the long, he's coming home from davening with his towels and tefillin, and he sees in the distance a lady carrying a bunch of packages into the apartment building. So he speeds up. He says, I'll do a chesed, I'll help the lady schlep her packages up the steps. He gets close, he sees his wife. He says to her, honey, you mind, can you take my talus upstairs while you're going? Right? It's only Yerushalmi can have a muscle like that. But anyways, so yes, you're 100% of it. You have it on your spouse, 100%. Fine. So Emaloi, so by Te'ina, when you're loading it up, the guy has to pay you. Prika, but to unload, you don't get paid for that. So it's maybe not. So tzricha, that's why you need Te'ina or Prika. You have to help load and unload. So the Gemara asks, Rav Shimon, and according to Rav Shimon, who says that even when you load up the animal, why do we need the both psukim? According to Rav Shimon, you can't learn anything out from the psukim. Meaning we don't know which one is talking about Te'ina, which one is talking about Prika. We don't know which one is which. So Mamela, if we would only write one, we wouldn't know if it means to load or to unload. So therefore, it has to write both in order that we understand both. Okay, so then it says, why do you need to write loading up somebody's animal and unloading his animal? And then also Aveda, that should be all included. Meaning you got to help somebody who's taking a loss, who needs help. So tzrichi, no, you need it. Because the because the tsar for the owner, tsar dida isa, and there's also tsar for the animal. Aval aveda, but on aveda, the tsar demara isa, the owner is going to be the tsar. The tsar dida lesser, but there's no tsar for the animal. So I would say that maybe you're not mechuyev to do anything. So therefore, you need to write prekantina and aveda. V'yashmin and aveda, b'shum the lesser lamara ba'ada. By aveda, usually the owner is not there, which is why you have to return it on Toma days. Avalhani tarti, but these other two prekantina, the isa lamara ba'ada, where the master, the owner is there. Aim maloi. So say, what do I have to help him for? Like Rabbanan was saying, what do I got to help him for? Right? He can help himself. So tzricha, that's what we need to say. No, even though the guy is there, the guy really could do it himself, but you're mechuyev to stop and help him. Okay, now the Gemara goes through a couple of more examples. Mais yumas hamaka. So it says that you have to kill the guy. Right? Meaning the person who hits somebody and kills him is chayav misa. That only tells you the misa that's written, right? You know there's dalin misas bezdin. So you're supposed to give the Torah rights, which misa you're supposed to give for which thing. But how do you know that if you can't give him the misa that's written, meaning he's running away, can you shoot him as he's running away? That's what Rashi says, right? Or you can drown him. So how do you know that you kill him anyways? Hakasaka, then another one. It says Hakasaka. That's talking about by Iranidachas, right? If they all did Avodah Zarah, so the whole city gets wiped out. That's only the Hakah that's written, which is taking the sword and beheading them. But let's say it's not practical to do it, so maybe you should nuke the whole town. So how do you know you kill them all out in whichever way you want? So that's the double lashon. Nikamaka means any way you do it. Hashev tashev. It says this is talking about where you took a what's it called? Not a mashkin, a collateral. The guy owed you money, and he didn't have the money, so you went and you stole his car or whatever. You took some silver from his house. So but that only tells you that you're allowed to take a mashkin with Bezdin gives you Rishus. Mashkana Shaloi Rishus Bezdin Minayin. But how do you know where if a guy did it without Bezdin? Meaning he just went into the guy's house and took it. So how do you know that he has to give it back? That you always have to give it back. Yeah. Chovel Tachbal. That's another one. That's also, I mean, the word chovel, it doesn't mean here the damage. It means if you took also a collateral instead of money you're owed, you went and grabbed something. Now that only tells you if you mashkin with the rishus of Bezdin. How do you know that you have to give it back even if you took it without rishus? And then you take it anyway. I'm saying, why do you need two different psukim? They're saying the same thing, that if a guy steals a mashkin, not steals, he takes a mashkin because he wasn't paid back, so you have to give it back. So why do you need two of them? One is telling you that if you took his jacket that he's supposed to wear during the day, so then you got to give it back at night. You got to give it back during the day. And ksus laila, if you take it at night, so you have to make sure you give it back. Meaning the day garment has to be given back for the day, and the night garment has to be given back for the night. Fine, a few more. Paseach tiftach. Right, so it says you have to give tzedakah. Open your hand. That only tells you.
So what's the point? What's the point of the mashkin if he has it for his use? What does he care?
No, because you want to keep the pressure on him to pay it back, but you can't.
What pressure if he has it whenever he needs it?
Because every day it's a the way I understood it, it's a hak for him. He knows every day that this guy's coming back to take his thing.
Seems like it's a hak on the lender to get it back to him.
It is. It's a pain. Yes, it is a pain. Right? It is a pain. So yeah, Pasayach Tiftach Eli Alaniya Irchel. Aniya Ir Acheretz Minayin. How do you know you have to give tzedakah to another city? Pasayach Tiftach Mikomakor. Nosan Titin, you have to give. That's also tzedakah. Eli Ala Matana Meruba. That's only telling you have to give a large matana. Right? Matana Muetas Minayin. How do you know you're also supposed to give small amounts of tzedakah? Nosan Titin Mikomakor. Fine. Hanek Tanik. Which is again, this is a little different here. When an Eved Ivri leaves, you're supposed to give him presents. So it says Hanek Tanik. That's only if the guy was a good worker and you had bracha because of it. Ma'anikin, so you give him presents. But if the house is not this baruch minayin tamer loimer Hanek Tanik mikomakom. That you still give him presents. But according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who says you only give presents to the Eved when he's leaving, if you had bracha because of him, but if the house wasn't benched because of him, you don't give him presents. So Tanik Lamali, why do you need a double lashon of Tanik? He has the pasha the teretz. The Torah speaks like lashon b'nei Adam. Fine, one more. Have tavitenu. So this is talking about where you're supposed to lend money. You're supposed to lend the money, somebody who needs money. So it only tells us if he has no money and he doesn't want to take donations. He doesn't want to be mefarnes by the people. He has pride. He doesn't want to accept tzedakah. So give it to him as a loan. Like this, it saves him face, and you give him a loan, and then he'll do business, and hopefully he'll make money. But if he has money, but he does not want to he doesn't want to use his money, right? Minayin, how do you know you're supposed to still lend him? Meaning a cheap guy, he has money, but he needs a loan anyway. So how do you know you're mechuyev to lend the money? That there's a mitzvah to lend, which is what we paskin. There is a mitzvah deraisa to even lend wealthy people. If a guy's got his money tied up or whatever it is, there's a mitzvah to lend them to. That if a guy has money and he doesn't want to be mefarnes himself with that money, you're not mechuyev to lend him. So then, tavitenu lamali, what is it a double lashon? So one answer, dibra Torah lashon b'nei Adam. The Torah speaks the lashon b'nei Adam, so that's why it says have tavitenu. Then the shaila becomes the shaila becomes then so if according to these last two, where Dibra Dara Kalosha and the other, so does that work its way back on all the other limudim and say, okay, we can't get anything out of them?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. I was gonna ask that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beat you to it. Okay. Anyways, we'll stop
I
over
was
there.
thinking maybe fakir, only because you have all the other ones. It's not lashon b'nei adam.
Yeah. Okay. I hear that, but I don't know. Okay. We'll stop over here. Okay. Let's say Tillim.
Ashikayev.
All right. Good talk. I'm not interested in saying Tillim tonight. It's late.